questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South, they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to TACT. This is take 2 because the streaming software that we use is finished, let's say. They're having beef with YouTube, so we're not allowed to go live on YouTube. But it worked on Facebook, so we thought, you know what, let's just record it, put it out as soon as we've done recording it. So it's probably come out at a really weird time, probably like, 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that. But oh well, is what it is. This is TACT against Liverpool. We'll be playing them on Sunday, but they have a game tomorrow against Atalanta, I believe. So are they going to be resting players? Who knows? But as always, I'm joined here with my co-host Dan. How's it going?
Yeah, all good. Been spending the day doing college. This is the math section. So it truly fried my brain. By about 3 o'clock, my brain had just turned to mush. I'd done enough mechanics by that point.
Enough.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, my brain's turned to mush just because I'm at work all day, really. So I'd say that's more of a physical mush rather than a mental mush, but you know, it is what it is. But we're not here to talk about our lives. We're here to talk about something more important in our lives. Crystal Palace.
Hey.
So we had a little discussion about this off stream. Who's going to go first? We never actually agreed. So what will happen first? Should I talk about how we're going to defend, or do you want to talk about how we're going to attack?
Well, I guess we'll go for the lineups, and then I can go first. I don't mind.
All right, cool. Let's do the lineups. So, lineups. Here we go. Oh, that's unfortunate. Dan, your head's blocking something very important.
What?
Not like that. Let me move the thing to the side.
Oh.
So we've got Crystal Palace and Liverpool. So, yeah, as we can see, Dan's...
I thought you were sitting behind me. I was thinking, what?
No, you're done.
I don't know. I made sure I moved all the dodgy stuff before we came on.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean?
It's not supposed to mean anything.
Fair enough. Anyway, this is what I've gone with for Crystal Palace. I've gone with Dean Henson in goal, with Mitchell, Lerma, Anderson, Ward, Munoz at the back, with Adam Wharton and Will Hughes in the midfield, with Ebbs, Mateta, and Ayew all up front. What are you saying? You agreeing?
Yeah.
Or...
I think I don't think we're really in much of a position to really change it up anyway. I think the only question is how fit is Elise and how many minutes will he get, really?
Yeah, well, I've got him and Edouard on the bench because those are the two that I think are going to be the most important coming off the bench for us, if I'm honest. Because even though Edouard didn't get many minutes against Man City, he still scored, still made a good account for himself, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Let's go into Liverpool. So before we start, they have some injuries, so let's go through them now. So Joel Matip is out for the season. Thiago Alcantara is out for the season. Alisson Becker is back for the game after us. So this is a first for us Palace fans that someone's not returning for this game. They're returning for the game after us, which is very nice. Diogo Jota and Trent Alexander-Arnold are both supposedly fit for the game that they have tomorrow. However, I doubt that they would start them, which would lead me to believe that they would both be available / starting against us on Sunday with... Never heard of that guy, so I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, who was also injured. For us, Jez is back, but France is still out. Chris Richards is out to the end of the month. Rob Holding's still out. Mark Gay is still out. Decore is still out, and John Stone is still out. So no one returning for us. And if you're wondering about Jez, I doubt that they'd have Jez and Elise on the bench at the same time.
Yeah, good thing some of those players I think are coming back within the next 3-4 weeks, I think. So
yeah,
at least we'll have a run of games at the end of the season that at least they'll be available.
100%. But let's get into Liverpool's starting 11. So they do play a nice, very basic 4-3-3. Obviously, because they've got no Alisson, I've gone with Kelleher in goal. The defense is Robertson, Van Dijk, Quansah, and Trent. Midfield of Endo, McAllister, and Soboslai, with Darwin Noodles up front, with Salah on the right and Diaz on the left. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you change?
Again, just like with the, I mean, if they got the players available and they're willing to play them from the beginning, that's what I would have gone with as well. As I say, depending on their fitness, maybe I don't know, maybe Bradley might start, or if they want to swap it around a bit, maybe they'll chuck in Gakpo or Jota, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. Maybe is Gravenberch available? Maybe Gravenberch as well. So they've got a lot of depth, put it that way.
I don't know if that's a pause or not, but we'll just move on.
Well, I didn't mention anything about girth.
Come on, man. Why are you looking at me straight into the camera as well? That's scary. Let's move swiftly on to how we can attack Liverpool.
Okey dokey. And that is not copyrighted. Just letting you know.
It should be a sin bit.
Sorry. Right. So just ignore my names on there. I've just put them on there as like placeholders. So first thing I'm going to do is go through the stats.
Boo.
So according to FBref, who get their numbers from Opta, Liverpool have the third best expected goal. This is all defensive, by the way. I haven't done the attacking ones. The third best expected goals against. They've got a positive post shots expected goals, which means that their goalkeepers have saved more shots than they should have in theory. They've conceded the third fewest amount of shots per 90. They've conceded the third fewest completed passes into their box, the fourth fewest crosses into their box, the fourth fewest dribbles into their box. They've allowed the third fewest touches in their box and the third fewest in their defensive third. They make them second most tackles in the attacking third and second most tackles in the mid third, which, considering they keep the ball, I don't know the exact number, but about 60% of the time, that's incredibly impressive. Only thing worth noting, though, is that they're about mid-range for expected goals per shot, which means that on average, if they do concede a shot, it tends to be of a higher quality than maybe some other teams. They also have the fourth worst shots that are made by dribbles. So that's an interesting one. Obviously, we got some good dribblers in our team. And see if they're susceptible to that, then that's good for us. They've also have the joint second worst opposition take on success rate, so they're not very good in 1v1 situations, but I think that'll become apparent in a minute. So moving on to their method. So I'm going to talk about, what should I do first? So I'm going to talk about their low block first, because that's something that they actually surprisingly go into more than you'd probably think. And I think they're actually pretty good at it as well. So they do tend to go back into a low block like this when necessary, and it does follow the like the formation. What I will say though is that where the ball is very dependent on what the shape kind of looks like, and you'll see why in a second. Their low block tends to so let's say, I don't know, let's say we've got the ball over here and there's lots of players over here, blah blah blah. Theirs will tend to shift a lot more to this side. And what they'll try to do, similarly to quite a lot of teams, they'll try to stop any kind of narrow progression through the middle. And that means as well that they don't really tend to defend very wide. So you do have these spaces over here to kind of work with, which I'll talk about a bit more in a minute. But that's a low block. Nothing particularly special about it. I will say though that they are very good at blocking in and around the box. They've got some players who are more than happy to put their body in the way of a shot. So if we do get him in the low block, I don't think he'll do well for us, and I'm sure JC will cover it. But they're very good counter-attacking, so that's something to bear in mind. Now, let's say we got the ball in midfield. Okay, what happens? Obviously, I just said that they have the second most tackles won in the middle and attacking thirds of any team in the Premier League per 90, which, like I said, is very impressive considering they tend to keep the ball way more often than they don't have the ball. And obviously, when you have the ball, you can't make tackles. So yeah, so they have a very, very aggressive press. And let's say that they've lost the ball. I don't know, Jefferson Lerma's won the ball here. Let's say, like, surrounded by players. Liverpool are the kind of team, and Jurgen Klopp brought this. It's not really gegenpress as much anymore, but when he first came over, it was. Basically, what they're doing is when they attack, they also have in mind, if they do lose the ball, are they in a position that they can quickly recover the ball? So let's say Jefferson Lerma's there. It'll be their prerogative to try and close down that ball as fast as possible, and win the ball back as quickly as possible. And to be honest, that doesn't really change. At any point on the pitch. So even if, let's say, I don't know, Wharton's got the ball here, they will ensure that they close down this ball. Now, it's kind of like a mix of man marking and also zonal marking. But what we'll say about the zonal marking, it's not. I wouldn't say it's zonal marking in the sense of like how we know it, like as in like you're just marking an area. What they're doing is that they're protecting the passing lanes. So Endo, for example, isn't necessarily marking that space. He's just trying to stop that. Whoops. He's just trying to stop that pass, that diagonal pass through. So while Szoboszlai might aggressively press, Endo will also press, but more so to try and block that lane and try and block them in like that. And that's basically how they work. And the reason why they didn't work so much last season was because, JC, I'm sure you can tell already, maybe, you know, if we are a bit quicker with the ball, if we can beat that press, then you know, we're in a very good position. Let's say Will Hughes does manage to find JP there. Okay, he's got two players on him, but the odds are a lot better now than they were a second ago.
Yeah, I think a perfect goal to look back on is I can't remember what year it was exactly, but it was I think when Townsend scored against Liverpool at their place. You know, we played it around the back.
Oh yeah.
They smothered us. MacArthur literally turned
pass,
and he just lifted it over the whole press.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure that Van Arnold picked up the ball, gave it to Zaha, and he ran all the way down to the byline. And
Yeah.
basically, because they were so focused on pressing one area and they weren't, cutting off the passes out, pretty much as long as Maka lifted it over, I think he genuinely took about 4 or 5 of their players out. Because when
Yeah.
Zaha got to the byline, I'm sure there was only 2 or 3 players in the box, and Townsend arrived at the right place and just slotted it home. And that
Yeah.
was still a Klopp system even back then, and he hasn't really changed that much since. So
No, absolutely.
we have seen us beat this press before, but it's not an easy thing to do. That's the problem. Like it's all good and easy in hindsight.
Yeah.
It all looks great on a tactics board, but for example, I think that Adam Wharton has got the confidence and the composure to pick a pass through that press. However, for someone like him, maybe 20 years old, first season in the Premier League,
It's a daunting prospect.
not even a first season. He's been in the Premier League for 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
having some of the world's best players like pressing you for 90 minutes, it's going to be a bit of a shock to him. He's going to have to really step up his game in this.
Yeah.
Because I can see them targeting him just because he's fresh and young.
And I think it'll be interesting as well, because obviously you can see, like, just in that midfield, because I'm not going to lie, Salah and Diaz don't really do much defending, and neither does Nunez. Or at least they might try and get back, but they're not. I wouldn't say they're effective defenders. And I mean, you can already see that numerical advantage in the middle already for Liverpool. So I do think it is a bit of a concern for me, because for example, when we played Spurs, they play a very high, very intense pressing style, and I thought we struggled to keep the ball at all. So that is my worry. The reason why Liverpool didn't do so well last season was because this press, the timing just wasn't quite right. Because obviously they were kind of in that transition phase of players, and that's why it didn't really click. But now they've settled into this free, they're clicking. So that's why they've been so good. Well, one of the reasons why they've been so good.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, if we do try to beat this press, we're never going to do it in the middle. What we should do is bring it out wide, because like I said, Salah doesn't really defend that well. So generally what happens is the wider midfielder who will come and help.
Salah will sort of get in the way. He won't try and press you. He'll just sort of get in the way.
Yeah, exactly. And Diaz is going to do the same as well.
Yeah, those two is more of a thing of what they'll do is they'll stand around and cut off a passing lane. They won't press. They'll just make it a little bit harder for you to pass out. Yeah,
so like Salah might stand here, for example, so that pass to Lerma's not necessarily on.
Yeah, because how many times have you seen a fullback try and pass to their centre-back and Salah's just sort of standing in the way and then he runs on goal? Like, that's sort of like a trademark thing that Liverpool winners do, really.
No, exactly. And I'm going to do something. Actually, I should do this on the other side. You'll see why in a second. So let's say Nunez has got the ball here. So Diaz is just covering the back pass. Let's say McAllister's come out to meet the player. Robertson's watching whoever our right winger is. I mean, it'll work better with Michael Elise. He'll make sense in a second. And then, let's say Eze's moved inside nearer to JP. So what we could do, because they move so aggressively, and I watch this back and time again, the chances that came were nearly always from the wing and or a transition, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the way you can manipulate their wings is, I'm surprised how easy it was. And I saw, and like, this isn't like me watching back like them versus Arsenal or City. Like, these were against, like, the games I watched were like against Forest, Burnley, Brentford, like teams who on paper we're either similar to or better than, really. So we've definitely got the players to do this. So let's say Endo's more inside there and Szoboszlai's sort of there. So let's say Munoz has got the ball. McAllister is going to very aggressively move out. Now, once that happens, all you need to do, and I kid you not, literally is I saw this countless times, is a 1-2. Pass it to Michael Elise because they do, and also like it's a bit weird because like they kind of stand off them until the pass is made. So like Robertson will or whoever it is will stand there, and as soon as Munoz starts like basically makes contact to make that pass, then Robertson will move in. So then he's on the, I guess on the player when they're ready to make that touch. But if they just make that one touch pass, what it does is it frees up quite a lot of space, and we could do this on the inside, or it could be on the outside as well. So Robertson could maybe move more in there, and then McAllister's making that run. So let's say Munoz passes to Elise. As long as Munoz carries on that run, you're in this position here. And like I said, I saw it time and time again. And I think it's something that we can manipulate either on the overlap or perhaps even better, I think, on the underlap, really, because we know Munoz also likes to underlap. That could be so because then that drags Van Dijk out of the way. That drags Quansah out of the way. Generally, because because Glasser likes to push the wing back so high, Bradley should be watching Tyrone Mitchell at the back post. You've got a 2-on-2 there if the midfield aren't coming back.
If you're looking very critically as well, and very hypothetical situation, if Eze carries that run on, he will be free in the box.
Exactly.
Theoretically.
Exactly. And like I said, I'm not basing this on them playing a really good team. These were things that I noticed when they were playing, like, I don't want to say lesser teams, but you know what I mean, like teams with less ability than
teams around us.
Yeah. Teams around us. And yeah, that was pretty much the main thing. That's literally what I've written down. Fullbacks press aggressively. Timing of passes can get in behind / in half space. And like I said, the wingers don't always press. They tend to just block that kind of thing. And to be honest, even if it was the other side, let's say it was the other side. Let's say Ty Mitchell's going, okay, Salah is covering that, this, what's it called?
Passing lane.
Yeah, he's covering that passing lane. But I think, again, another thing that Glasner encouraged when he was at Frankfurt is for players like Lerma to like if Lerma pulls out there, I know maybe not, but okay, let's say it's like this. I mean, Lerma he would encourage that run there. So unless Salah then follows
we've seen
that
it
run,
against Bournemouth in his first game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Lerma was driving into midfield, and when Will Hughes would move back again.
Yeah, exactly. And if Salah's there, I mean, again, yeah, if Will Hughes drops and he carries on a run, Salah's probably not really going to know where to go. And again, it's about buying us just those extra split seconds. And those split seconds make all the difference at this level. It makes the difference between scoring a goal and not scoring a goal. And it's built on these moments of just slight indecision by a player that they don't necessarily know which player to cut the passing lane. Just that split second might just open like an inside pass into there, and then Eze could find himself in space or something like that. That's what these are all built on. And like I said, I always say this against teams like this: City, Liverpool, Arsenal, whoever. Teams like this, you need that bit of luck. You need that bit of, that bit of good finishing, like Mateta and Eddie did on last Saturday. Or you need perhaps one of their players just to fall asleep just once, and then that gives you a good way in. And then finally, just talking about the counter. I'm not going to talk about it too long because it kind of cuts into JC's a little bit, but because of the way that they attack, long story short, they're going to have there's going to be a lot of space for us to potentially attack.
I mean, we can talk about the counter attack now because it's sort of like a mix of both. But I think how I would explain it the best is look at what Grealish did against us. how he was always onside, but he was still goal side of the fullback. And I feel like Michael Elise could very easily stand goal side of Robertson, or Eze could very easily stand goal side against Trent or Bradley, for example.
Yeah.
Because of how we're set up. Let me show my screen.
Yeah. Also, so that'll be the end of my bit. But effectively, JC's going to show you how open they are when they are attacking. So that transition is always on. And to be honest, I wouldn't say Van Dijk's particularly quick either. So again, that's an opportunity for us.
All right, let's do that. So basically, we'll start off with a count of the counter attack. Because basically what like a part for both me and Dan. But what I will say is that Klopp is a very, I don't know, he does play with more freedom than Pep Guardiola. I think everyone knows that. But Klopp does love to run the channels, basically. And what that means is, let me mess around with our team a little bit. So let me just get rid of Lerma quick. So normally, a team would set up sort of like this in a back four. And then running the channels would include that half space, that half space, and that half space when it comes to Liverpool. As you can see, you got 2 players in the channel, 2 players in the channel, 2 players in the channel, and the rest of them are either pulling width for everyone to bounce off of or the centre backs, basically. However, with Glasner's nice little 5 at the back, and we have seen it before because Roy Hodgson deployed a 5 at the back against Liverpool and was pretty successful at it. If you put players in front of them, they can't run these channels as effectively, basically. So that straight away, our slight little formation change, and now that we're more used to playing a 5 at the back as well now, is already something that I guess would stutter Liverpool a little bit because they're not used to playing against 5 at the back, let's say, and whenever they do, they seem to struggle. Like they struggle against Brentford because they do like to play a 5 at the back when Forest used to have Steve Cooper and they played a 5 at the back, they struggled against them a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So with this 5 at the1back, it basically means that if they commit more people forwards, basically, as they will, Trent and Robertson, they're still not going to have a numerical advantage here. Obviously, if they commit McAllister, Soberslide, then our midfielders have to drop in as well. But without the addition of their midfielders joining in on the attack, they actually don't have a numerical advantage, which is something that they thrive off of when they try and go forwards. But what I was trying to say with the counter-attack, basically, is at all times, Trent and Robertson are going to be in our half. Whether that's all the way pushed up or sort of sitting a little bit in front, it really depends on what side of the pitch the ball is. If the ball's on this side, Robertson will be all pushed up, but Trent will still hover around here. Same thing on the other side. The ball's over here, Trent will be pushed up, and Robertson will sort of hover around here. So how does that allow us to counter-attack? Basically, it means that because of how Liverpool go forward, so we'll use Trent as an example because he's very known for picking up the ball, carrying it forwards, and then putting a cross in. But what you can see here is with Trent going forward so much, look at the space that he's left behind. All here. And Eze is here. I don't see a Liverpool player taking up this space. So what I'm saying is, if Eze can stay goal side of their fullback, if this cross doesn't come off and score, basically, if we can grab this ball, let's say he whips it and Anderson can, get Noodles, shrugged off and sent off again. But if Anderson can get the ball and have the ball at his feet, if Eze can run that channel, Anderson could ping it to him, and you could very easily see Eze 1-on-1 against someone like Kwanzaa. Because here, as you said, Van Dijk's not. He's fast, but he's not the fastest guy in the world. But I would, Eze's not that fast either. I would back him with the ball to get to about here before a challenge is put in.
Yeah.
But sorry, I've just seen the StreamYard's all of a sudden working, and there's like 4 or 5 streams set up now, waiting to go live. Oh well, it is what it is. But
It is what it is.
But from here, I would back Eze to at least get a shot off or do something in this position.
Mhm.
And just by standing goal side on a fullback that will push up, you could create a goal scoring opportunity. I think when Wilf scored against them, was it earlier this season or was it? What was the 1-1? Was that last season, right, at their place with Zaha scoring?
It must have been. Yeah,
But
I think. Yeah.
basically, it was the same thing, wasn't it? I think Decore won the ball. I think they put a cross in. Anderson hit it to Decore. Let's say Decore is Wharton here. Got the ball, and I'm sure that we're in the same situation. Let's say Eze Zaha. Basically, Decore hit an incredible curving through ball, sort of went here and then curved around him, didn't it? Zaha basically ran, was goal side of everyone, and just slotted it in the goal.
Yeah.
And if you look at the goals that Liverpool concede, I'm sure that they're very high.
Yeah, they are
on goals conceded from counterattacks.
I mean, I don't know the numbers, but when I was watching back games, I mean, when I say I'm watching back games, I basically just look at when I'm looking at the defense, I basically just look at the chances most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, most of them were from over the top balls, pretty much, or from the wing.
And the reason why that's interesting as well, you can beat them by passes in behind, over the top through balls. That sounds very, very, very familiar to a certain game we played last week against Manchester City. As we said then, not the fastest centre backs, play a very high line. Their fullbacks are very high.
Yeah,
we can do the same thing. What happened with Adam Wharton? He bent it around one of their centre backs, and JP just ran away. Yeah. Great finish by JP, and his finishing is going to have to be on point in this game as well, because even though we're showing it to you here and it looks nice and easy, we're only going to get 1 or 2 of these chances all game. So when we do get these chances, we have to take advantage.
Absolutely. And I mean that tactic, like you're saying about leaving Eze goal side, it definitely works because Liverpool literally do it. One thing I did forget to mention is that I think the reason why Salah and Diaz don't really tend to actually have an active role in defending other than cutting lanes is because it leaves them in a position that if you do need to transition, then if they do transition, then they're in a prime position, exactly like you're saying with Eze, basically. So we know it definitely works because, well, Liverpool doing it.
Well, yeah, it's sort of a thing of if you have attackers, let them attack, and that's sort of the philosophy of a bigger club, isn't it? Because, for example, that's how Grealish ripped us to shreds on Saturday. He literally just stood goal side of Munoz, but he was still on side because Munoz was pushed up a little bit more. And he literally just ran down the wing, cut in, and, done what he did. And I know Grealish is a great player, but they bought it for £100 million, but I know that there's a player in Eze that he can do the same thing. I know that that's in there for him.
Absolutely. I think, like I said on the stream the other day, I think Eze's problem is purely a mental one. He's definitely got the technical ability to do that, 100%.
Oh, without a doubt. So let's move back into how we can defend. So we've already talked about how they love an overlap and how I think that we should try and keep our players goal side. Because of the similarities of how we played well against City, we played well against City because we were very compact, we were very tight, and basically Don't go anywhere. But basically, we made it impossible for them to have a shot unless it was outside of the box, which is something that I think is very important. I know that Liverpool do like to score screamers. I think McAllister scored 2 this season. Salah's not afraid of scoring 1. Diaz always scores a great goal against us as well. But I would still much rather them shoot from outside of the box than in the box.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So having that, I guess that a wall of players here to make it as hard as possible for them to get into the box and have a shot, I feel like that is very important because we've done that against City. If Diaz has the ball over here, you saw Munoz press, you saw Hughes come in as well, and then you saw Ayew block the passing lane. So it's sort of kind of a little bit like using Liverpool's tactic against them, where you sort of commit a few players there, but it's different in the sense of Wharton won't join in as well. Wharton will just pick up the man here, and then Eze will tuck in and pick up the man here. So they will have a free person, but that'll be one of the centre backs, for example. So having a centre back free is really not an issue to us when we're defending, because if anything, that takes pressure away from us. So that ball is really not concerning whatsoever. But as long as everyone else is still, I guess, man-to-man or within another person's zone, that's not really an issue. Another thing I think that we did very well against Manchester City is actually just holding on to the ball. If we hold on to the ball, we've seen it many times with Hodgson that we was just defend, and you could tell our defenders were getting tired by the end of the game, and that's why we've conceded so many late goals. And against City, granted, we did concede 4 goals. I'm not saying that we didn't, but there were points in that game where we actually held the ball, we controlled the play for a little bit, we set the tempo, and we let the attackers do more of the work. Like we actually built the ball up and then played over the top. So it was more like a well-worked attack instead of hump it long and hope for the best.
Yeah.
So you can tell with Glasner that he's trying, even though it's still technically long ball, there's still a method behind the madness there.
Yeah, I think, because I think, like you said, I think under certain managers, and to be fair, even like under Patrick Vieira towards the end as well, like you just see it felt like we had the ball. And as soon as we got it, we just kicked it long, and like you say, just hope that Mateta or Eddie chase it down, which was obviously never going to happen. Whereas at least now, Mateta's like making a run, and they're actually passing it to a particular area that he's making a run to.
Yeah. Another thing that I think Dan's already mentioned for us to use is underlapping, but instead of how Dan said it for us, where we'd have underlapping fullbacks, what Liverpool like to do is they like to have underlap. I guess sort of. How would I say it? I'd say like
underlapping 8s or something like that.
Yeah, like I was gonna say like a Conor Gallagher role, like late arriving into the box kind of midfielders in Szoboszlai and McAllister. And like I said, remember when I said channels? So for example here, with a 4 at the back, that works great. But these two can't run into Wharton and Lerma. They're gonna have to get free space. And because there's more players in the back line, the half space goes from that big to that big.
Yeah.
So the defenders, if they're smart about it, if Salah goes in here, they could just squeeze him out, and then he would just get dispossessed or run into him, and then
get given a penalty by VAR.
Yeah, that's a very Liverpool thing to do. Let me just show the Liverpool again. See that? Liverpool. But yeah, you could just squeeze him out because. And if it's anyone other than Liverpool, that's not given a pen. Just like what Saka did last night. That was atrocious. That was really bad, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it's still good that we've got these extra people because, for example, if Hughes wasn't here and McAllister ran through, he'd still be 1-on-1 with Ward. But because we'd have Hughes here, McAllister would run, But Hughes would track that guy. Granted, he has had a problem with tracking runners in the past. I'm not going to deny that. But if Hughes tracks him all the way, we've still got a solid back five with someone being tracked out of a run, basically,
Yeah.
which is good. Obviously, they do like to. They have a lot of skill up front. There's no denying that. They have a lot of skill up front. But the difference between Klopp and Guardiola is that Klopp will allow the individuals to express themselves. And if that means being selfish, that means being selfish and not passing, try and take on your man. But I feel like we can use that as an advantage purely because with Mo Salah, he's always going to try and cut in. If he cuts in and he doesn't pass, you know he's shooting. 100% he's shooting. And there's been many times, I think, the season where him and Mane were fighting for the Golden Boot, and he just didn't pass to Mane or whatsoever, just because he wanted to score himself. I feel like because he got done out of the Golden Boot by Haaland last season, he's going for it again this year. So to me, it wouldn't surprise me if he has a little bit of a selfish streak. So I feel like it's a good thing because he will be a bit more selfish. He had a bit more time on the ball, and I feel like that's a better time to tackle him.
He's third. I didn't realise he was so high up because I thought he was injured for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that Glasner's sort of done to us, he likes putting players in front of the ball. I think I'll show you later. I'll show you in a minute. But for example, if you look at the Rodri chance, all of our players threw out their bodies in front of the ball. That never happened under previous managers, for example. But then that's how sort of Liverpool attack and how we can do well against them. You know, stay tight, stay compact, stand goal side when you're out wide. Try not to play through the middle because they've got a numerical advantage. Stop the half spaces. Don't let them run through, and they rely on individuals. So if you can lock out those individuals and get in their heads like Anderson can do, I think we'll be in for a good game because we do like to give bigger teams a good game when we're completely out of the question. No one even considers us. That's when we seem to drop our best performances.
Yeah, true.
So. Let me go here. We're back on Photoshop.
We're back, baby.
So, out of possession, something that Glasner does like to do is he likes to sort of set up like this. A very unlike Roy Hodgson, let's say. Against Manchester City, this is a mid block. This isn't a low block. And I'm sure... Huh?
A what?
A mid block.
I've never heard of one of those. That was a Roy Hodgson joke, everyone, just so you know.
Yeah. Sin bin. But we're not afraid to press forwards. We're really not. We will happily sit in a mid block. Like, granted, De Bruyne found that great ball through to Haaland, but still, you had the recovery pace of Lerma and Henderson, who had a very good game against Man City, fast off his line and stopped him scoring. Like, we've never seen something like this for many, many years. Because look, you got the 3 here, or the 2 here, because Eze's doing Eze things. To be fair, even here, look, he's standing goal side of Lewis. He's the fullback.
Well, because I'm guessing Mitchell will be picking up Lewis. I don't know who 19 is, so I'm guessing that would be Lerma's man. And then obviously Anderson on Haaland and then Ward on De Bruyne.
Wow. But remember what we said about how Eze should stand goal side and Rico Lewis is the fullback. Eze's goal side. If they lose the ball here, he's straight in there. And that's exactly what happens. I think Mateta sort of does this swooping run so that when the ball gets there, the pass to Diaz is not available. Ayew presses in. The ball gets passed to Rodri. Ayew comes and grabs the ball, and that's when he should have played in Eze here for that goal.
Okay, yeah.
And basically, we could, in theory, we could replicate that word for word, bar for bar against Liverpool, because the same thing's going to happen. Like I've said with the Rodri chance, look, Lerma's up, he's getting there, Anderson's here ready to block, Hughes is there blocking, Mitchell's sort of in the way as well. So we will have players trying to get in the way, stop the shots if they do get to shoot from inside of the box. This is a clip from the Man United game. I remember what I said about the sort of underlapping 8. This is Mo Salah, so they sort of had a nice little link-up play. Ball into Nunes, he put it to Salah. Salah started running at the man. Diaz is twisting Dalot inside and out. He sort of does a run this way, ducks inside. But Szoboszlai, basically, I can't remember who. I think this is McSauce. He makes his run very straight, but Szoboszlai sort of sees Diaz make that run up and curves his run round. And basically, exactly what we said, if you stand goal side, in the next frame, look at how much space he's got here on the ball. He takes 2 touches, doesn't score, but still, he's got so much room to make different decisions. If he wanted to, he could play in Diaz here. He went for a shot. Or even, if he is trying to help his mate out, Salah's an option there. And Szoboszlai is good enough to get a pass to Noodles over there. He's got options here. And that's literally from a breakaway. And Liverpool are... let me get I've got a stat for you here, Dan.
Go on then.
Liverpool are joint 3rd in the Premier League for goals scored through counter-attacks.
I mean, to be honest, that doesn't surprise me.
So,
out of interest, what does it say? What the definition of a counter attack is? Just out of interest. It might not. To be fair, I'm just curious.
I don't think it does, but for me, a counter attack is if you dispossess the opposition and then you're on the break. That's what a counter attack is to me.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering if it included like for example, like I don't know, like when they press sort of like in the mid third, or do you know what I mean? Yeah. I was just wondering. That don't surprise me, to be honest, because things they got quick players, they got very very skilled players. They all want to score goals as well. So
yeah, I'm sure that
Finn are the top goal scorers in the league, aren't they? I'm fairly sure, just outright. I'm sure they scored more than City.
I think so, yeah. And also, I'm sure that with what you said about they have fast players, I'm sure that Nunes has the highest recorded sprint speed in the league, isn't he?
I think he's definitely in the top 2, because I think Van der Ven's very quick as well.
Yeah, but still incredibly fast.
Oh yeah. And obviously Diaz is rapid. Salah, even though he's getting on, is still quick.
Yeah, he's got that acceleration pace, not that long-term pace, but to be fair, in football, acceleration pace is all you need. As long as you can get in front of the player and the ball's at your feet, if you're good enough, they really just have to foul you. That's the only way to get the ball off you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But this isn't a foolproof plan because, like we saw against City, they do like to ping the ball out wide and cross it in first time, which is something that we do struggle with. We saw that because of De Bruyne's assist to Haaland. Ball out wide, first touch in the box, penalty spot, Haaland taps it in, no one picking him up. Same thing of Rico Lewis, ball inside, one touch, Lewis is just free in the box. That's something we need to sort out because that's how Liverpool score a lot of their goals as well. They commit a lot of people to run straight into the goal, basically. So any rebounds, there'll be someone running onto it, for example. So Henderson's going to have to push that ball away, push it out for a corner or something. Actually, no, not a corner, because Virgil van Dijk likes to score against us a hell of a lot from corners as well. Apart from that, the only other thing I've got to say is Let's hope that there's no dodgy VAR call in their favour.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to moan about it too much, but I can think of at least 2 games in the last 2 seasons that it's not gone our way because of a interesting call. But
I mean, I can think of Jota.
yeah, that was
bad.
like people saying that Saka dived yesterday. I mean, I don't. To be fair, I don't think it was a dive, but I don't think it was a penalty. But
I think he was looking for it so much. He jumped into Neuer.
I think he was looking for him.
If he stays on his feet, he's got an
Yeah.
empty net to tap it into. I don't see why.
Yeah, well, people having that debate over that. Jota's one was worse.
Jota had a look at him and ran into him.
Yeah,
but even against City, remember the one that Ederson came out and killed Edouard? You're thinking, how the hell has he not been sent off?
Yeah, and Haaland kicked Anderson in the head.
And then scored a hat-trick. Mate, you threw me under the bus last week. What's your score prediction?
Again, I think it'll be a spirit. I think we'll do well, but I mean, Liverpool have only not won 2 games at home in the league all season, and that was against Man United and Arsenal. So, and in fact, they've only dropped points against a non-big 6 team like twice, and that was early on in the season. So, you know, it's a huge ask. Also, as well, it's the 35th anniversary of Hillsborough, I believe, on that day as well, or thereabouts. So there's your annual reminder to never buy the Sun, please, because it's a terrible, terrible rag. So that's obviously going to be an atmosphere that is going to be massively beneficial to their team. I'm going to say 3-1 Palace. 3-1 Liverpool.
Oi!
No. 3-1 Liverpool. 3-1.
We're sticking with your first one.
No. 3-1 Liverpool. I do think we'll score.
I was going to say I think it'll be a spirited 2-1 loss.
I was thinking about 2-1, but I thought,
But the only reason why I say that is because I don't want to be superstitious, but I feel like they've scored too many screamers against us and outscored their XG against us so much that maybe just one time it will actually be quite close. Because the games are never a landslide, are they?
No.
I think even when we got beaten 3-0, they scored 3 screamers against us.
Actually, I've one stat that I did forget to mention. Let me just double check it whilst I'm on FB Ref. So, Liverpool in the league have won on XG most of their games. The only games that they haven't won on XG is Chelsea in the first game of the season.
Yep.
Newcastle away. Both of these are away in against Newcastle in the third game of the season. Other than that, Spurs away in the 7th game of the season. Other than that, though, I know City away as well. And that appears to be it, besides one team. And that team was Crystal Palace.
We did well against them at home. I remember.
We did.
I remember. I was upset we didn't get a point out of that game.
Well, because we had a penalty, and because I feel like I didn't watch that game for some reason. I think I was busy because I would have been at the game, but I wasn't there. Because we had a penalty. Oh, Lerma, that was it. Lerma had a really big chance, didn't he? In the first half.
I can't remember the game. I just remember Harvey Elliott scoring at the end.
Yeah, fair. But yeah.
2-1 to Liverpool. That's what I say.
I think 3-1. All right.
Cool. Anything else that you want to touch, or you think that's it?
No, just if you're watching on the record, sorry it's a bit later. Hope you enjoy it. Next week will be as normal.
Yeah, it seems like halfway through recording this, that's the software's fixed itself. So I'm gonna go and delete all of those all those set up live streams. So guys, thank you very much for watching. This is TACT Eagle versus Liverpool. Hope you've enjoyed. Like, share, subscribe, and up the palace.
Up the palace.
Eagles.
Eagles. Cheers.